Hello everyone, welcome back to Stock Spy. Today I want to share something I really don't know about, whether Alphabet or Microsoft is a better long-term investment. The angle I want to take is a bit different. We know AI, it's here. But I believe that the next big thing is quantum computing. And I don't want to miss out on the companies if that's true. So I have been digging around on how Alphabet and Microsoft are investing in this space, and both are serious players. I'll explain why I'm looking at these giants instead of smaller startup, and then share where I land on which stocks seem to be a better long-term run. So first, what's the deal about quantum computing? Without diving too deep into the science of it, the idea is that quantum computers could solve problems that normal computers just can't handle efficiently. Think stuff like discovering new medicine, designing advanced materials, improving climate modeling, or even making the AI systems much faster. Quantum computing is not here yet, and experts believe we are probably 5 to 10 years away from practical everyday use. But when it arrives, it could unlock a new wave of innovation the way AI is doing right now. And that's why I think it makes sense to look at companies laying the groundwork today. So Alphabet, which is Google's parent company, had been the front runner in cloud quantum computing for a while. Back in 2019, Google made headlines claiming quantum supremacy. And more recently, they unveiled a new chip that showed real progress in making quantum systems more reliable. What's important is that Alphabet isn't just throwing money into a lab somewhere. They are consistently hitting milestones and proving they can make these machines better over time. And since Alphabet make billions from search ads, YouTube and cloud computing, they can afford to pour serious resources into such long-term bets like cloud computing without risking their core business. On the other hand, we have Microsoft. They are also heavily invested in quantum, but they are taking a whole different approach. Instead of focusing just on the hardware, Microsoft is trying to build a whole platform called Azure Quantum. Their big vision is to make quantum accessible through cloud. So businesses could someday tap into quantum computing power the same way they rent servers today. Microsoft is also working on its unique type of qubit, which, if successful, could lead to a more stable and scalable quantum computer. It's a high-risk approach because it hasn't been proved yet. But if it works, it could be a huge advantage. And again, like Alphabet, Microsoft has enormous cash flow from its other products. So now you might ask, why not invest in a small, pure quantum company? Wouldn't that give bigger and better returns if quantum takes off? Here's what I'm thinking. Quantum computing is an insanely expensive and technically difficult thing. Startups in this field tend to burn through cash, and many of them may not survive long enough to see the technology mature. Alphabet and Microsoft, on the other hand, have size, resource, and talent pool to keep investing for decades if they need to. They also don't depend on quantum to survive. It's just one of many bets that make them safer, more sustainable ways to get exposure to quantum future without taking an extreme risk. So between Alphabet and Microsoft, which do I think is a better long-term play? Honestly, both seem to be strong choices. But if I had to pick one, I'll give a slight edge to Alphabet. The reason is simple. Google has been more open about their breakthroughs and has demonstrated steady progress in the quantum hardware. That gives me a little more confidence that they are moving in the right direction. Having said that, I would never underestimate Microsoft. If their unique approach works out, it could frog leap competition. Plus, Microsoft has the advantage of being deeply embedded in enterprise software and cloud services, which could make them a go-to provider when quantum eventually becomes mainstream. So, if I were investing today, my idea is to go heavy on Alphabet but still keep some exposure to Microsoft as a hedge. That way, I don't miss out if Microsoft pulls ahead. And of course, there are risks. Quantum computing might take much longer than expected to become practical. Even if Alphabet or Microsoft achieve breakthroughs, it's not guaranteed that those advances will immediately translate into profit. Stock valuation is another thing that matters. Microsoft is often more expensive relative to earnings, while Alphabet can have sometimes discounts. So while I see quantum computing as an exciting long-term driver, I'd still buy these companies primarily for their current business with quantum as a bonus if and when it pays off. To wrap up, I really believe that quantum computing will be the next big thing after AI. So if you want exposure to the future without betting on a risky startup, Alphabet and Microsoft are the two safest plays. Between the two, I lean slightly towards Alphabet today. But honestly, owning both is not at all a bad idea. So that's where I stand right now. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you think quantum is worth paying attention to yet? Or is it still far, far away from an investing point? Drop your comments below. Let's talk about it. Thanks a lot for watching.